films, cassettes. Gosh, I miss those times, man.
The M1A1 HC is the newest tank added to the American lineup, but in many ways, the tank isn't new at all. In real life, the HC stood for Heavy Common, and it received the second generation of depleted uranium armour. To make it simple, you can think of the M1A1 HC as an M1A2 Abrams, but only lacking a commander's thermal sight, and gaining an active protection system. This APS system is mounted above where the loader sits, and is only really effective against early generation missiles, also known as SAKO. Top tier missiles, which are typically laser guided, are completely unaffected by this anti-missile system. So at battle rating 10.7, this active protection system serves you practically no purpose. But on the other hand, it's basically an M1A2 Abrams at a slightly lower battle rating. Alright lads, welcome back to the channel. If it wasn't obvious enough already, today we're going to be taking a look at the M1A1 HC. This is a rank 7 medium tank located in the American tech tree. It sits at battle rating 10.7 for arcade, realistic and simulator battles. To unlock this tank, it's going to cost you 390,000 research points before purchasing the tank for a cost of 1,060,000 silver lions. The HC is of course a tech tree vehicle and will come fully stock, and you will have to fully upgrade the vehicle to unlock its full potential. To put this tank in your lineup, it's going to set you back 300,000 silver lions. And as always with top tier vehicles, I would highly recommend purchasing the Expert and Ace qualification, costing 1,060,000 silver lions and 2,100 golden eagles respectively. In terms of repair cost, and for a medium tank at top tier, is actually pretty low, at only 4,042 silver lions. In terms of rewards, and when playing with a premium account and in realistic battles, you can expect an RP modifier of 476% and a silver lion modifier of 180%. In terms of customization, there are several camouflages available for golden eagles, and a single camouflage available on the Guardian marketplace. So, if you already have the M1A2, is it worth going back and researching the HC? Well, stick around to find out. Moving on to the engine and performance, and the M1A1 HC is powered by the Honeywell AGT 1500 gas turbine engine, producing 1,519 horsepower. Combined with the vehicle's weight of 61.2 tonnes, it gives this tank a power to weight ratio in realistic and simulator battles of 24.8 horsepower per tonne. This is pretty much the same as the M1A2, and if you're used to driving that tank, then it feels pretty much the same. The HC can reach a top speed of 67 km per hour and a top reverse speed of 38 km per hour, both in realistic and simulator battles. The tank's transmission, the Allison X1100, is capable of neutral steering, allowing the tank to turn on the spot. With the combination of a high power to weight ratio, as well as pretty good top speeds, the tank certainly is very snappy. It accelerates well, and maintains this acceleration right up towards its top speed. Like the M1A2, you can consider the HC to be one of the faster main battle tanks at top tier, all whilst retaining its great armour of the M1A2. Alright, moving on to the survivability, and basically it's the exact same as all the other Abrams variants. You have a crew of 4 men, with 3 in the turret and a single driver in the hull. You have composite armour on the lower frontal plate, as well as a turret front. This makes you pretty much immune from all Heat FS rounds, and all but the most modern AP FSDS rounds. Regardless of this, you do have a very large weak spot, which is the turret ring. Shooting just below the gun, or anywhere rather right below the turret, is pretty much a guaranteed penetration. A shot in this location is almost certainly going to knock out the tank, if not kill your tank instantly, as there is a good chance it will knock out all 3 crew members in the turret. The side of the turret is also pretty well protected against chemical rounds, but the same cannot be said against kinetic energy penetrators. In terms of ammunition storage, all your ammo is stored in blowout panels at the rear of the turret, also known as the bustle. This means in the case of an ammo rack, in theory, the explosion should blow the top part of the turret off, leaving your crew alive. However, all your ammunition will have burnt up, so you won't be able to fire the gun. The survivability of the M1A1 is pretty much on par with the M1A2. It has the same armour, same crew location, and same great mobility to keep it out of trouble. Alright, moving on to the weapons and ammunition, and just like the M1A1 and M1A2, the M1A1 HC is armed with the 120mm M256 cannon. The gun has a very good vertical guidance characteristics, with 20 degrees of gun elevation and 10 degrees of gun depression. As you'd expect, the gun is fully stabilised in both the horizontal and vertical planes. You can carry a total of 40 rounds of ammunition, with a first stage rally rack of 17 rounds. The tank also does have a laser rangefinder, as well as second generation thermal imaging. Please note however, this is only for the gunner's sight. As I mentioned in the introduction, this Abrams variant does not have a commander's thermal optic. Talking of optics, the gunner has a 3x zoom and an optional 10x zoom, with a very wide field of view to go with it, making target acquisition, as well as target neutralisation, very easy. We then come on to the ammunition, and as I said in the introduction, this tank is fully stock, so you will unfortunately have a stock heater vest grind. This round is the M830 heater vest shell. It travels at 1140 meters per second and is capable of penetrating 480mm of flat armour, and against armour angled at 60 degrees, that drops down to 240mm. It has a TNT equivalent warhead of 2.36 kilograms, giving it pretty good post-penetration damage. You can also unlock the M830A1 round. This has slightly worse penetration, with only 350mm, and drops some of the explosive weight in the warhead, down to 1.39 kilos of TNT. So what do you get in return for this lower penetration and explosive damage? Well, this heater vest shell has a proximity fuse warhead in its nose, allowing you to use it against low flying helicopters and planes. This shell has been nerfed recently though, and its effectiveness against helicopters has now been significantly reduced. We now come on to your first armour piercing fin stabilised discarding SAKO round, the M829. This travels at 1670 meters per second, a very high muzzle velocity indeed, and is capable of penetrating 491mm of flat armour. And when attacking armour angled at 60 degrees, you can still penetrate 284mm. But we do have an upgrade, in the form of the M829A1. This travels a little bit slower, at only 1569 meters per second, but has an increased penetration, up to 598mm against flat armour, and 346mm against armour angled at 60 degrees. This should be your go-to round in this tank, and is probably one of the best top tier AP FSDS rounds in the game. Apart from your main gun, you do have a rifle caliber machine gun mounted coaxially, as well as a 50 caliber machine gun in a pinto mount commanded by the commander. You also have a total of 16 smoke grenades, which fire in 2 salvos, firing 8 at a time. And that's it for the armament. It's essentially just an M1A2 cloned. This is by no means a bad thing, and arguably even better than the M1A2, as you're at a slightly lower battle rating of 10.7. Before we get into the conclusion, let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about this vehicle, and which helicopter, tank, plane or ship you guys would like to see reviewed next. I'm going to start this conclusion by saying that the active protection system on the M1A1 HC is just a meme. It isn't effective, especially at top tier, and you never really meet the missiles which it is designed to protect against, as these missiles had fallen out of use by the time of the 1990s. As I said in the introduction, being replaced by laser guided munitions. Apart from the APS gimmick, the M1A1 HC is essentially just an M1A2 cloned, minus the commander's thermals, as I've said 3 times now. Let's just be honest and say what this vehicle is. It's basically just a second spawn vehicle. The same way the British have the Challenger 2 and the Challenger 2 CF, the Americans now have the M1A2 and the M1A1 HC. Pretty much identical vehicles to each other, with minor differences. This is a good thing for the American tech tree, as it's rather falling behind the Soviets in terms of its dominance. I don't think I'm wrong in saying at the minute that the German and Soviet tanks are pretty much dominating the battlefield at the minute. While I don't think the addition of the M1A1 HC is going to do anything to change that meta, it will give the Americans a little bit of an added punch at top tier. Overall though, should you run out and grind this thing straight away? Not really, it doesn't add anything new as I've covered, it's essentially just a copy and paste, but a good addition nonetheless. Alright lads, I hope you enjoyed that video, and if you did, please do consider subscribing to the channel. You can also leave a like and a comment, which again, also boosts me in the algorithm, helping my channel to grow. You can also follow me on Twitter, as well as Twitch. And if you're a huge fan of the channel, you can become a member of the YouTube channel, which will give you a unique icon next to your comment, in both comments under videos and on YouTube live streams. Once again, thank you very much for watching this far into the video lads, and I'll see you in the next one.